Green Book, released in 2018, features a small but remarkably powerful ensemble cast that carries the film with nuanced performances. At the center of the story are Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, whose portrayals of Tony Lip and Dr. Don Shirley, respectively, form the emotional and thematic backbone of the film. Both actors brought a wealth of experience and depth to their roles, and the film marked a significant point in their careers. Viggo Mortensen, known primarily for his role as Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, had by the time of Green Book already established himself as a versatile actor capable of embodying complex characters across genres. His career spans decades and includes critically acclaimed performances in films such as Eastern Promises, A History of Violence, and Captain Fantastic. Mortensen is known for his immersive approach to character work, often learning skills, dialects, or cultural nuances required for the role. In Green Book, Mortensen's portrayal of Tony Lip, an Italian-American bouncer from the Bronx, required not only adopting a convincing Brooklyn accent, but also mastering the subtleties of a character who is both brash and deeply human. Mortensen brought a lived-in authenticity to Tony Lip, balancing humor and vulnerability, creating a character who evolves over the course of the film in a believable and affecting way. His performance was widely praised and considered by many to be a return to the grounded, character-driven storytelling for which Mortensen excels. Mahershala Ali, who portrays the sophisticated and enigmatic pianist Dr. Don Shirley, had already made a strong impression in Hollywood with his Academy Award-winning performance in Moonlight, as well as roles in House of Cards, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and Hidden Figures. Ali's approach to acting combines an intellectual precision with an emotional depth that allows him to inhabit complex characters fully. In Green Book, Ali faced the challenge of portraying a real-life figure whose life is defined by artistry, intellect, and social navigation in the racially segregated United States of the 1960s. Ali's performance captures the dignity, loneliness, and inner struggle of Dr. Shirley, revealing both his musical brilliance and the vulnerability that arises from living in a world that refuses to see him as fully human. This role further cemented Ali's reputation as one of the most versatile and compelling actors of his generation. Supporting the leads are actors such as Linda Cardellini, who plays Tony Lip's wife, Dolores, and Brian Stepanek as the club manager, Bobby Rydell. Cardellini, known for her work in Freaks and Geeks, ER, and Dead to Me, brings warmth and realism to the role of Dolores, offering a grounding presence that humanizes Tony Lip and emphasizes the stakes of his personal journey. Her portrayal of a supportive yet assertive spouse adds depth to the story's depiction of family and personal growth. Brian Stepanek, who has appeared in comedies and dramas such as The Family Stone and the television series My Wife and Kids, provides a lighter touch, offering comic relief while reflecting the societal norms and expectations surrounding Tony's working-class environment. Other notable cast members include Demeter D. Marinov and Mike Hatton, who play members of Tony Lip's entourage. While their roles are smaller, they add authenticity to the Bronx-based social circle that defines Tony's early world and highlight the contrast between his environment and the refined, cultured world of Dr. Shirley. Their performances, though brief, reinforce the film's exploration of class, culture, and identity. The casting of Mortensen and Ali was particularly significant because the film's success hinged on their chemistry. The dynamic between Tony Lip, a working-class Italian-American, and Dr. Don Shirley, an African-American classical musician, forms the emotional core of the story. Mortensen and Ali's ability to convey mutual mistrust, growing respect, and eventual deep friendship anchors the film, creating a believable and compelling narrative arc. Their interactions showcase a wide range of emotions, from tension and conflict to warmth and humor, demonstrating their skill as actors and their commitment to character-driven storytelling. Green Book also benefited from the supporting cast's ability to inhabit their roles without overshadowing the leads. This balance allowed the film to maintain focus on the central relationship while providing context and texture through interactions with secondary characters. The performances of the entire cast contributed to the authenticity and emotional resonance of the film, making the story both relatable and impactful. In terms of career impact, Green Book reinforced Mortensen's status as a leading actor capable of carrying a high-profile, character-focused drama while simultaneously exposing Ollie to an even broader mainstream audience, further elevating his already distinguished career. For both actors, the film showcased their range and ability to engage with sensitive social issues through deeply human performances. In particular, Mahershala Ali's portrayal of Dr. Shirley earned him widespread critical acclaim and an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, marking a career milestone and solidifying his reputation as one of the finest actors of his generation. Viggo Mortensen, though not awarded an Oscar for this role, received nominations and critical praise that highlighted his continued relevance and skill in complex, emotionally driven roles. The casting decisions and performances in Green Book exemplify how careful selection of actors, aligned with both the narrative demands and the historical context of a story, can elevate a film from being a simple biographical drama to a nuanced exploration of human relationships, social dynamics, and personal growth. The actors' dedication to their craft, attention to detail, and ability to convey subtle emotional shifts are central to the film's success, making Green Book a landmark in contemporary cinema that blends entertainment with social commentary. Ultimately, the cast of Green Book is a testament to the power of performance in storytelling. Mortensen and Ali's commitment to authenticity, combined with the contributions of the supporting cast, ensures that the film resonates on multiple levels. The film's success, both critically and commercially, can largely be attributed to the chemistry, talent, and professionalism of its actors, whose performances transformed a historical road trip story into a moving exploration of friendship, race, and human connection. Green Book, released in 2018, had a profound cultural impact that resonated across multiple spheres of society, from entertainment and popular culture to conversations about race, social class, and historical memory. The film, set in the early 1960s during the height of the Jim Crow era, is based on the true story of a friendship between Tony Lip, a working-class Italian-American, and Dr. Don Shirley, an African-American classical pianist. By portraying their journey through racially segregated America, the film became a lens through which modern audiences could examine the lingering effects of systemic racism, social prejudice, and the potential for personal transformation through empathy and understanding. Its cultural significance lies not only in its storytelling but in the discussions and debates it sparked about historical representation, social progress, and the power of human connection. Upon release, Green Book quickly became a reference point in conversations about historical films dealing with race relations. Its narrative of a white man accompanying a black musician through the segregated South highlighted both the overt racism of the era and the subtler, interpersonal dynamics that shaped daily life. The film's portrayal of the challenges faced by African Americans in the 1960s, including restricted access to hotels, restaurants, and public spaces, reintroduced the Green Book, a real-life travel guide for Black motorists, to a new generation. The historical Green Book had long been a symbol of both the ingenuity and resilience of African Americans navigating systemic oppression, and the film renewed awareness of its significance, inspiring renewed interest in historical documentation of segregation and travel practices of the era. Green Book also made a notable mark on pop culture. Its success at the box office and its widespread media coverage ensured that it became part of broader conversations about race and friendship in contemporary society. The film inspired parodies, references, and memes across social media platforms, where audiences engaged both with its heartwarming narrative and with critiques of its historical accuracy and perspective. Some viewers celebrated the film's optimistic portrayal of cross-racial friendship, emphasizing the emotional journey of Tony Lip and Don Shirley, while others raised questions about the white savior narrative and the degree to which the story centered on Tony's perspective rather than Dr. Shirley's lived experience. This duality of reception amplified public interest in the film, leading to ongoing discussions in news articles, opinion pieces, and online forums about representation, storytelling authority, and historical responsibility in cinema. The cultural impact of Green Book extended beyond entertainment into the social and political spheres. Its release coincided with heightened conversations about systemic racism in the United States, particularly in the wake of movements like Black Lives Matter. The film's narrative, which emphasizes personal transformation and the breaking down of racial barriers through human connection, became a point of reference in discussions about how popular media can influence perceptions of race, empathy, and social justice. Some educators incorporated the film into curricula exploring American history, race relations, and civil rights, using it as a tool to engage students with the era while encouraging critical discussion about its representation of history. Green Book also left an imprint on contemporary music and artistic discussions. Dr. Shirley's classical performances, highlighted in the film, renewed appreciation for mid-20th century African-American musicians and composers who navigated professional and social constraints. The film sparked interest in historically significant performers who, like Shirley, had to balance extraordinary talent with the challenges of systemic exclusion. Music scholars and enthusiasts reference the film in discussions about performance, cultural recognition, and the intersection of artistry and social history, expanding its influence into fields beyond cinema. In the realm of visual media, Green Book contributed to a resurgence of interest in historical dramas that explore race, class, and personal relationships. It joined the ranks of other films that attempt to bridge historical education with emotionally engaging narratives, influencing both filmmakers and audiences to consider the potential of historical storytelling as a means to address contemporary issues. Television programs, podcasts, and online video essays reference Green Book when discussing representations of interracial relationships, road trip narratives, and the ethical considerations of dramatizing real-life figures. Its success demonstrated that films tackling sensitive historical topics could achieve both commercial success and cultural relevance, encouraging studios to greenlight projects with similar social or historical themes. Despite its acclaim, the film's cultural significance was complicated by debates over its historical framing. Critics noted that while Green Book was uplifting and emotionally resonant, it often presented history through a lens that prioritized the perspective of the white protagonist. This sparked broader societal discussions about whose stories are told in mainstream media and how historical narratives are shaped by choices made in production, casting, and storytelling. These conversations, while sometimes critical, ultimately expanded the film's cultural impact by prompting reflection on the ethics of representation, the responsibilities of filmmakers, and the importance of including diverse voices in historical storytelling. Green Book also inspired tangible societal engagement, including community screenings, discussion panels, and educational events. Libraries, museums, and cultural organizations used the film as a springboard for dialogue about race relations, music history, and 1960s American society. Its influence extended internationally as well, as audiences in Europe, Asia, and other regions explored the uniquely American story of segregation and friendship, fostering cross-cultural understanding of historical oppression and resilience. The making of Green Book was a complex process that combined careful attention to historical authenticity, precise directorial choices, and the dynamic collaboration of an experienced cast and crew. Behind the polished narrative seen on screen lies a series of production decisions, challenges, and creative strategies that shaped the film's tone, aesthetic, and emotional resonance. The production team faced the task of recreating the early 1960s American South with both accuracy and cinematic appeal, balancing the story's entertainment value with its sensitive exploration of racial dynamics. The behind-the-scenes story of Green Book provides insight into how filmmakers bring history, character, and atmosphere to life, revealing the interplay between planning, improvisation, and creative problem-solving that occurs during a film's production. Director Peter Farrelly, known primarily for his work in comedy with films like Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary, took a significant creative risk by shifting into a dramatic, socially conscious narrative. Farrelly approached Green Book with a desire to explore friendship, prejudice, and personal transformation, while maintaining elements of humor and humanity that are characteristic of his earlier work. Farrelly's transition from pure comedy to drama required careful attention to tone, pacing, and character development. He worked closely with screenwriters Nick Vallelonga, who based the story on his father Tony Lip's real-life experiences, and Brian Curry to ensure that the dialogue and narrative remained authentic to the time period while also resonating with contemporary audiences. Farrelly's comedic background influenced the film's lighter moments, particularly in the interactions between Tony Lip and Dr. Shirley, providing levity without undermining the gravity of the social issues depicted. Casting was a crucial early step in production, as the chemistry between the two leads would determine the film's emotional impact. Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali were chosen not only for their acting abilities, but also for their capacity to inhabit their respective cultural and social backgrounds convincingly. To prepare for their roles, Mortensen and Ali undertook extensive research and rehearsal. Mortensen spent time with members of Italian-American communities in New York to perfect Tony Lip's accent, mannerisms, and physical presence, immersing himself in the culture of working-class Brooklyn in the 1960s. Ali, meanwhile, studied Dr. Shirley's performances and personal history, practicing piano techniques and body language to authentically portray a refined, sophisticated musician. The two actors spent time together off-set to build rapport, experimenting with improvisation and dialogue, which helped cultivate the genuine, evolving friendship depicted on screen. Their commitment to authenticity extended beyond acting, as both actors contributed to costume fittings, musical rehearsals, and consultations on historical accuracy. Filming locations were carefully chosen to recreate the geographic and cultural diversity of the early 1960s American landscape. Although the story is set in multiple southern states, much of the filming occurred in Florida, where the production team could more easily control the environment, coordinate logistics, and accommodate the cast and crew. Key locations included hotels, clubs, and performance halls, all of which were meticulously dressed to reflect the era. The art department conducted detailed research to ensure the accuracy of interior and exterior settings, from furniture styles and signage to the selection of cars and period-appropriate street scenes. Historical accuracy was a priority, especially in representing the segregated South. This required careful attention to props, background actors, and visual cues to convey the social restrictions and racial hierarchies of the time. One of the challenges in production involved shooting scenes that required both physical action and emotional nuance. Many sequences, such as the long drives through rural areas or the intimate moments in hotel rooms, demanded precise camera work and coordination between actors and crew. Cinematographers and lighting technicians worked to capture both the aesthetic beauty of the American South and the oppressive atmosphere of segregation, using natural lighting and carefully constructed sets to create visual contrast between freedom and constraint. The driving sequences, which are central to the narrative, required detailed planning for camera placement, vehicle coordination, and actor safety. In some instances, Mortensen and Ali performed in moving vehicles for hours to achieve authentic reactions, contributing to the sense of realism and immediacy in the film. The film's music posed another behind-the-scenes challenge. Don Shirley's piano performances are central to the story, both as a narrative device and as a symbol of cultural sophistication. Rather than relying solely on pre-recorded tracks, the production team recorded piano performances that could be synchronized with the actors' on-screen movements. Ali learned key pieces to ensure that his hand movements appeared realistic, while professional recordings of Shirley's music provided an authentic auditory backdrop. The integration of these performances required close coordination between the sound department, editors, and actors, ensuring that the musical sequences enhanced the storytelling rather than detracting from it. Costume and makeup teams played a critical role in defining character and setting. Dr. Shirley's wardrobe, which includes tailored suits, overcoats, and polished shoes, was designed to convey his refinement and social status, while Tony Lip's clothing reflected his casual, working-class background. The contrast between the two men's appearances visually reinforced the thematic exploration of class, race, and cultural identity. Hair, makeup, and grooming choices were equally deliberate, from Tony's slicked-back hair and sideburns to Shirley's immaculate presentation, contributing to the film's period authenticity and helping the actors fully inhabit their roles. The production faced logistical challenges common to period films, including sourcing vehicles, props, and period-specific clothing, coordinating large crowds for public scenes, and managing complex shooting schedules. The crew also navigated the sensitivities of depicting racial prejudice without alienating audiences, which required careful attention to scripting, acting, and directorial decisions. Farrelly and the production team worked to balance the depiction of social injustice with moments of warmth, humor, and humanity, ensuring that the story remained engaging while respecting historical realities. Green Book tells the story of an unlikely friendship that develops between Tony Lip, a rough-around-the-edges Italian-American bouncer from the Bronx, and Dr. Don Shirley, a world-class African-American pianist, during a concert tour through the racially segregated American South in the early 1960s. The film's plot combines elements of road trip adventure, social commentary, and character-driven drama, unfolding in a narrative structure that emphasizes both external conflict and internal transformation. Its story is linear in chronology but layered with thematic depth, using recurring motifs and turning points to reinforce the characters' evolving relationship and the historical realities they navigate. Understanding the film's plot and narrative structure is crucial to appreciating how its emotional resonance and social commentary are carefully built over the course of its runtime. The film opens in New York City, establishing the distinct social and cultural worlds of the two protagonists. Tony Lip is introduced as a working-class man with a strong physical presence, a straightforward personality, and a quick temper, working as a bouncer in a nightclub. His family life, including his interactions with his wife Dolores and their children, is depicted with warmth and humor, highlighting both his rough edges and his loyalty. In contrast, Dr. Don Shirley is portrayed in the opulent surroundings of his Manhattan apartment, surrounded by classical music, fine art, and refined personal assistants. He is sophisticated, disciplined, and somewhat isolated, presenting a life of cultural and social elevation that contrasts sharply with Tony's everyday reality. This juxtaposition establishes the initial tension and potential for growth, as the characters come from different social, racial, and cultural backgrounds, setting the stage for the film's central exploration of human connection across divides. The inciting incident occurs when Tony loses his nightclub job due to labor disputes and is offered temporary work as a driver and bodyguard for Dr. Shirley's concert tour through the South. The narrative momentum shifts at this point, moving from exposition to the journey itself, which forms the backbone of the film. The road trip structure allows for episodic storytelling, where each town or performance venue introduces new challenges, social encounters, and opportunities for character development. The Green Book, a travel guide listing safe accommodations for African Americans in the segregated South, becomes a literal and symbolic map for the journey, guiding the characters physically through dangerous spaces while also representing moral and emotional navigation through the complexities of prejudice and personal bias. As the journey progresses, the film alternates between moments of humor, tension, and emotional intimacy. Early interactions between Tony and Dr. Shirley are marked by mistrust, cultural misunderstanding, and subtle prejudices on both sides. Tony's blunt and informal demeanor clashes with Shirley's refined mannerisms and strict personal discipline. These initial conflicts provide comic relief while simultaneously laying the groundwork for deeper exploration of social hierarchies, racial tension, and personal growth. The narrative pacing carefully balances these lighter moments with more serious confrontations, such as encounters with overt racism in restaurants, hotels, and public spaces, highlighting the harsh realities of the era while emphasizing the protagonist's evolving responses to injustice. Key turning points occur throughout the journey, each contributing to character development and thematic depth. One significant turning point occurs when Tony confronts the systemic racism experienced by Dr. Shirley in a restaurant or motel, initially expressing shock but gradually moving toward protective and proactive engagement. This moment marks the beginning of Tony's moral evolution, as he becomes more aware of societal inequities and more attuned to Shirley's personal vulnerabilities. Similarly, Dr. Shirley experiences subtle but impactful shifts, revealing his vulnerability, loneliness, and desire for genuine companionship. These turning points are carefully spaced within the narrative, ensuring that the audience witnesses gradual, believable transformations rather than abrupt changes in character or perspective. The narrative structure also incorporates moments of intimacy that deepen the characters' bond. Shared meals, late-night conversations, and minor conflicts on the road provide opportunities for humor, empathy, and reflection. Through these interactions, the film explores themes of family, friendship and cultural exchange. Tony's interactions with his own family, particularly the letters he writes to his children, parallel his growing understanding of Dr. Shirley's isolation and humanity, reinforcing the connection between personal life and the moral lessons learned on the road. These intimate moments serve as narrative anchors, grounding the story's broader social commentary in human relationships and emotional truth. The climax of the film occurs near the end of the tour, when the protagonists confront both external and internal conflicts in a heightened emotional context. Tony and Shirley face a situation that tests their loyalty, courage, and moral growth, providing a moment of catharsis and resolution for the narrative arc. The tension is resolved through mutual recognition of each other's value, shared experiences, and personal growth. By the film's conclusion, both characters have evolved. Tony has become more empathetic and socially conscious, while Shirley has allowed himself to experience trust, friendship, and emotional openness. The climax emphasizes the culmination of both plot and character arcs, highlighting the themes of human dignity, cross-cultural understanding, and the transformative power of friendship. The narrative also includes subtle foreshadowing and recurring motifs, such as the use of music, road imagery, and visual contrasts between northern and southern environments. Dr. Shirley's piano performances function as both plot points and symbols of artistic expression, social transcendence, and personal identity. Roads, highways, and long stretches of travel symbolize the journey itself, representing physical movement through space as well as emotional and ethical movement through personal growth. The narrative structure carefully integrates these motifs to create a cohesive storytelling experience that is both entertaining and meaningful. Green Book employs a visual style and cinematography that subtly yet powerfully reinforce the narrative's emotional tone, historical setting, and thematic exploration. The film's visual identity reflects a careful balance between period authenticity, character-driven storytelling, and aesthetic appeal, ensuring that each frame contributes to the audience's understanding of time, place, and relational dynamics. Through the strategic use of lighting, framing, color palettes, and camera movement, the cinematography conveys not only the physical journey of the characters, but also their psychological and emotional evolution, creating a rich and immersive viewing experience. Understanding the film's visual style and cinematography is essential to appreciating how Green Book communicates narrative and thematic depth beyond dialogue and plot. The cinematography of Green Book was designed to evoke both the intimate and expansive aspects of the story. The film often uses medium and close-up shots to capture subtle facial expressions, gestures, and interactions between Tony Lip and Dr. Don Shirley, emphasizing the emotional nuances of their developing relationship. These intimate framing choices allow the audience to observe the gradual evolution of trust, empathy, and camaraderie, making the characters' growth tangible and emotionally resonant. At the same time, wide shots and expansive compositions are employed during the road trip sequences, particularly when the car travels through rural landscapes or urban streets. These shots provide a sense of movement, scale, and historical context, situating the protagonists within the broader American landscape of the 1960s. The combination of intimate and expansive framing reinforces the dual nature of the narrative, the personal journey of the characters alongside their navigation of societal structures and historical realities. Lighting plays a critical role in Green Book's visual storytelling. The film employs a naturalistic lighting approach that captures the warmth and texture of interiors while contrasting it with the harshness or discomfort of the outside world, particularly in the segregated South. For example, hotel lobbies, music venues, and Shirley's Manhattan apartment are often bathed in warm, soft lighting, creating a sense of refinement, comfort, and control. In contrast, exterior scenes, particularly those in southern towns, frequently utilize harsher, high-contrast lighting to convey social tension, threat, or isolation. Shadows are used strategically to emphasize the unease and danger associated with racism and segregation, visually reinforcing the challenges faced by the characters. The interplay of light and shadow also serves as a symbolic reflection of the moral and emotional landscapes navigated by Tony and Shirley, highlighting moments of clarity, uncertainty, or transformation. The color palette in Green Book is another key element of its visual style. The film frequently employs muted earth tones, shades of brown, and subdued greens and blues, evoking the period and geographic settings of the 1960s American South. These colors ground the film in historical realism, while also creating a visual cohesion that links disparate locations and narrative moments. In contrast, the wardrobe choices, such as Shirley's sharply tailored suits and Tony's casual working-class attire, introduce contrasting color highlights that distinguish character identity and social standing. The deliberate contrast between muted environmental tones and more vibrant wardrobe or interior details visually reinforces themes of social class, cultural difference, and personal expression, enhancing narrative depth without overt exposition. Camera movement in Green Book is fluid and purposeful, serving both narrative and symbolic functions. The film often uses tracking shots during the road trip sequences, following the car and its passengers through changing landscapes. These shots create a sense of continuity, momentum, and immersion, allowing audiences to experience the journey alongside the characters. Slow pans and tracking movements within interiors are employed to reveal spatial relationships, character positioning, and social hierarchies. For example, scenes in restaurants or performance venues often utilize careful camera placement to illustrate Shirley's isolation or the social barriers imposed by race, positioning him visually as separate from or elevated above the surrounding environment. Conversely, dynamic handheld shots are occasionally used to heighten immediacy or tension during confrontations, providing a contrast to the otherwise stable visual approach and emphasizing emotional or physical stakes. Visual motifs recur throughout the film to reinforce themes and character development. The car serves as a central visual motif, symbolizing both literal transportation and the metaphorical journey of personal and relational growth. Long shots of the car traveling through open roads juxtaposed with tight interior shots inside the vehicle reflect the duality of the story: freedom and constraint, physical mobility, and emotional introspection. Similarly, piano performances are shot with deliberate framing that centers Shirley and his instrument, emphasizing his mastery, artistic identity, and emotional expression. Mirrors, doorways, and windows are occasionally used to frame characters in ways that highlight reflection, separation, or transition, subtly reinforcing themes of self-examination, societal barriers, and relational dynamics. The film's production design and cinematography work in concert to create a sense of historical authenticity. Locations, props, and set dressing are captured with meticulous attention to detail, often framed to emphasize period-specific aesthetics such as vintage signage, automobiles, architecture, and urban versus rural environments. Cinematic techniques, such as depth of field manipulation and selective focus, draw the viewer's attention to key elements while allowing background details to contribute context and texture. These choices help immerse audiences in the historical period while supporting narrative clarity and emotional engagement. Special visual techniques are occasionally employed to enhance thematic emphasis. For instance, contrast in framing between confined, dimly lit spaces and open, sunlit landscapes visually mirrors the character's emotional or social constraints versus opportunities for freedom and growth. Close-ups on hands, gestures, or musical instruments highlight character skill, intention, and vulnerability, making subtle nonverbal communication central to the narrative. These visual strategies complement the film's dialogue and music, creating a fully integrated cinematic experience in which visual, auditory, and narrative elements reinforce each other. Costume and set design also interact closely with cinematography to convey social hierarchy, character identity, and historical context. The interplay between the visual presentation of characters and their environment is consistently framed to highlight contrasts between social class, cultural refinement, and working-class roots. For example, Shirley's meticulous interiors and attire are often presented in symmetrical, composed shots, while Tony's surroundings are captured with more dynamic angles and naturalistic lighting, emphasizing spontaneity and grounded realism. These compositional choices visually reinforce the thematic exploration of difference, adaptation, and relational growth. Sound plays a crucial role in Green Book, enhancing its storytelling, emotional resonance, and historical authenticity. The film's soundtrack and sound design function on multiple levels, conveying character, mood, tension, and thematic meaning while reflecting the cultural context of the early 1960s. From Dr. Don Shirley's virtuoso piano performances to the ambient sounds of rural southern towns, every auditory element is carefully crafted to immerse the audience in the journey and to underscore the emotional arcs of the protagonists. Understanding the film's use of sound reveals how audio is not merely supplementary, but integral to the narrative and its thematic depth. The musical score, composed by Chris Bowers, is central to the film's auditory identity. Bowers' compositions blend classical piano pieces, jazz influences, and original score elements to reflect the contrasting worlds of Tony Lip and Dr. Don Shirley. Shirley's performances, which feature classical and jazz-infused repertoire, are meticulously integrated into the narrative, both as diegetic music that characters hear and as non-diegetic elements that guide audience emotion. These performances serve multiple functions. They define Shirley's character, convey his cultural and social sophistication, and provide a medium for communication and bonding between Shirley and Tony. The piano music often punctuates moments of tension, introspection, or triumph, enhancing the emotional weight of scenes and creating a distinct auditory signature for the film. In addition to Shirley's music, the soundtrack incorporates period-specific songs that ground the film historically and culturally. Popular songs from the early 1960s, ranging from jazz and blues to mainstream hits, established the social environment and helped differentiate Tony's working-class Bronx background from Shirley's elite, cosmopolitan world. These songs are carefully chosen for their lyrical content, style, and emotional resonance, reinforcing both character identity and the broader historical setting. For example, upbeat songs accompanying scenes in Tony's neighborhood contrast with the refined, precise tones of Shirley's piano, highlighting the cultural gap and foreshadowing the eventual blending of these worlds through shared experience and mutual understanding. The film also utilizes sound design to convey the physical and social realities of the 1960s South. Environmental sounds, such as the hum of highway traffic, footsteps in hotel lobbies, or the chatter of segregated diners, create an immersive atmosphere that reinforces setting and context. Confrontational scenes involving racial prejudice often incorporate amplified ambient noises, such as jeering voices or clinking glasses, to heighten tension and emphasize the hostility faced by Shirley. In contrast, quieter scenes, like intimate conversations in cars or hotel rooms, use minimal background sound to focus attention on dialogue, subtle gestures, and musical elements, drawing viewers into the emotional core of the narrative. This careful manipulation of ambient sound ensures that the audience experiences both the external pressures of the setting and the internal dynamics of the characters. One of the most effective uses of sound in Green Book is the way music becomes a vehicle for character development and relational dynamics. Shirley's piano playing is not only a demonstration of technical skill but also a means of communicating emotion, cultural identity, and social perspective. Moments when Tony observes or reacts to Shirley's music often reveal Tony's growing respect and empathy, and the film's sound editing emphasizes these interactions through careful mixing and placement of audio cues. Similarly, the contrast between Shirley's performances and the diegetic music of Tony's environment underscores the initial distance between their worlds and sets the stage for eventual convergence and mutual understanding. Dialogue and vocal performance are treated as key auditory elements, with particular attention paid to accent, diction, and delivery. Tony Lip's Brooklyn accent and casual speech patterns contrast with Shirley's refined, precise enunciation, highlighting cultural, social, and intellectual differences. Sound editing ensures clarity and consistency in dialogue, allowing the audience to appreciate subtle inflections and tonal shifts that reflect character mood, intention, and relational dynamics. The interplay between dialogue and music is particularly effective during shared scenes, where Tony's reactions, verbal responses, and Shirley's musical expression form a layered conversation that transcends spoken language. The sound design also contributes to dramatic tension and comedic timing. For example, moments of social awkwardness, cultural misunderstanding, or impending danger are accentuated through diegetic sounds such as car engines, doors slamming, or the distant laughter of bystanders. These auditory cues heighten the realism of the film, drawing the viewer into the immediate experience of the characters while reinforcing thematic stakes. Conversely, comedic moments are supported by timing and audio emphasis, where the rhythm of dialogue and environmental sounds underscores humor without undermining the narrative's emotional or social weight. In the post-production process, audio mixing and mastering were crucial to achieving a seamless integration of music, dialogue, and environmental sounds. The editors ensured that Shirley's piano performances remained prominent and clear without overpowering dialogue or ambient sounds, creating a layered auditory experience that balances narrative clarity with emotional depth. Subtle reverberations, microphone placement, and acoustic choices during recording also contribute to the authenticity of live performances, giving the audience the sense of being present at a concert or in an intimate musical setting. Silence, too, functions as an important auditory tool. Moments devoid of music or significant ambient noise are strategically employed to emphasize emotional tension, character introspection, or moral reflection. These quiet moments allow viewers to focus on facial expressions, gestures, and internal emotional states, demonstrating how the absence of sound can be as powerful as its presence in cinematic storytelling. Green Book received widespread attention upon its release in 2018, sparking a mix of critical acclaim, audience enthusiasm, and controversy. The reception of the film reflects the complexity of evaluating works that combine entertainment, historical dramatization, and social commentary. From a commercial standpoint, the film was highly successful, appealing to a broad audience through its blend of humor, emotional resonance, and historical context. Critics and viewers praised the performances of Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, the dynamic chemistry between the leads, and the film's ability to tackle difficult social issues with a balance of levity and seriousness. At the same time, some commentators raised concerns about historical accuracy, narrative framing, and the potential reinforcement of certain cinematic tropes, making Green Book a focal point for discussion about representation, storytelling, and cultural responsibility in modern cinema. In terms of audience reception, Green Book was generally embraced for its warmth, accessibility, and emotionally engaging story. Many viewers appreciated the film's humor, charm, and the evolving friendship between Tony Lip and Dr. Don Shirley. The film's road trip structure and episodic storytelling made it both entertaining and relatable, providing moments of levity alongside depictions of historical social injustice. Audiences responded positively to the performances, particularly Mahershala Ali's portrayal of Shirley, which was widely regarded as nuanced, dignified, and emotionally compelling. Viggo Mortensen's portrayal of Tony Lip was also praised for its authenticity, humor, and vulnerability, making the character's journey of personal growth credible and engaging. Audience surveys and box office results indicate that Green Book resonated across multiple demographic groups, appealing to fans of drama, comedy, biographical films, and historical narratives alike. Critics largely praised the film for its performances, production values, and accessibility. The chemistry between Mortensen and Ali was cited as a highlight, with many reviews emphasizing how their dynamic carried the film and elevated what could have otherwise been a formulaic road trip narrative. The screenplay was acknowledged for its blend of humor and social commentary, balancing emotional intimacy with broader historical context. Critics also noted the film's ability to make difficult subjects approachable without diminishing the severity of racial discrimination, describing Green Book as both a crowd-pleasing drama and a thoughtful exploration of societal inequities. The period authenticity, including costumes, set design, and music, was frequently mentioned as a contributing factor to the film's immersive quality. However, Green Book was not without criticism. A significant point of contention was the film's historical perspective and narrative framing. Some commentators argued that the story centers disproportionately on Tony Lip's perspective, creating what is often referred to as a white savior narrative, in which the growth and moral development of a white character are foreground over the lived experiences of a person of color. Critics raised concerns that this framing simplified or softened the realities of racial oppression, portraying Shirley's struggles through the lens of Tony's learning rather than directly engaging with Shirley's perspective. Some reviewers also question the degree of creative license taken with events, noting discrepancies between documented history and the dramatized story presented in the film. These criticisms sparked debates in media outlets, academic forums, and online discussions about the ethical responsibilities of filmmakers when portraying real-life figures and historical events. Despite these criticisms, Green Book received significant recognition within the film industry. At the 91st Academy Awards, the film won 3 Oscars: Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor for Mahershala Ali, and Best Original Screenplay for Nick Vallelonga, Brian Currie, and Peter Farrelly. The win for Best Picture, in particular, solidified the film's status as a major cinematic achievement of the year, while Ali's award reinforced his reputation as a leading actor capable of profound, nuanced performances. The Screenplay Award recognized the film's effective blending of humor, drama, and social commentary, despite debates over historical accuracy. Green Book also earned numerous nominations and wins at other award ceremonies, including the Golden Globes, BAFTA Awards, and Screen Actors Guild Awards, further demonstrating its critical and industry recognition. Controversy surrounding the film also shaped its reception. Some commentators argued that Green Book oversimplified racial dynamics and prioritized a feel-good narrative over authentic exploration of systemic oppression. Critics noted that Shirley's personal struggles, family dynamics, and complex social experiences were occasionally overshadowed by the focus on Tony's development, raising questions about whose story is told and how historical narratives are framed in mainstream cinema. Additionally, Shirley's family members publicly disputed certain elements of the portrayal, emphasizing that the dramatization did not fully capture the nuances of his life or experiences. These critiques fueled broader conversations about representation, narrative authority, and the responsibilities of filmmakers in depicting real-life individuals and sensitive historical contexts. In terms of commercial performance, Green Book was highly successful, grossing over 3 times its production budget worldwide. Its combination of accessible storytelling, charismatic performances, and socially relevant themes contributed to strong word-of-mouth and sustained audience interest. The film's box office success reinforced the notion that films addressing difficult historical and social topics could achieve both critical acclaim and mass appeal, encouraging studios to invest in projects with similar thematic ambitions. Green Book's legacy extends far beyond its initial release, influencing both the film industry and broader cultural conversations about storytelling, race, and representation. Its commercial and critical success positioned it as a notable cinematic event, while the debates it sparked about historical accuracy, perspective, and narrative framing ensured its place in ongoing discourse about film and society. The film's legacy is multifaceted, encompassing its impact on audience perceptions, its influence on other filmmakers, and its contribution to cultural and educational conversations about American history and social progress. One of the most immediate elements of Green Book's legacy is its impact on the careers of its key actors. Mahershala Ali, already acclaimed for previous roles, gained further recognition and solidified his reputation as one of the most versatile and nuanced actors of his generation. Winning the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor not only elevated his profile but also demonstrated the power of thoughtful, understated performance in conveying complex emotional and cultural themes. Viggo Mortensen, who had long been celebrated for roles such as Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, received renewed attention for his ability to embody a character rooted in cultural specificity and emotional depth. The collaboration between Ali and Mortensen became a reference point for discussions about on-screen chemistry and the impact of authentic character interplay on audience engagement, influencing casting considerations in subsequent films that explore complex social or historical narratives. In the broader cinematic landscape, Green Book influenced the production and marketing of films dealing with historical and social issues. Its success demonstrated that mainstream audiences are receptive to stories addressing race, class, and moral development when presented with compelling characters, humor, and emotional resonance. This impact has encouraged studios to greenlight projects that blend entertainment with socially relevant themes, paving the way for other films exploring friendship across cultural divides, historical injustices, or character-driven narratives grounded in real events. The film's combination of critical acclaim and commercial viability established a model for producing socially conscious cinema that can appeal to a wide audience without sacrificing narrative accessibility or emotional depth. Green Book's influence is also evident in its contribution to discussions about representation and narrative authority in film. While the film faced criticism for centering Tony Lip's perspective, it sparked widespread debate about how stories of marginalized individuals are portrayed and whose voices are prioritized. These discussions have influenced both filmmakers and audiences, encouraging more thoughtful consideration of perspective, authenticity, and the ethical responsibilities involved in adapting real-life stories. In this sense, Green Book's legacy includes not only its achievements, but also the questions it raised about cinematic ethics, historical fidelity, and the role of narrative framing in shaping cultural understanding. The film's cultural impact has also manifested in educational and community contexts. Green Book has been screened in classrooms, cultural centers, and libraries as a means of exploring American history, civil rights, and social dynamics. Its depiction of the Green Book travel guide itself has inspired renewed interest in historical resources documenting African American life under segregation, highlighting the ingenuity, resilience, and lived experiences of marginalized communities. In this educational context, the film's legacy is not limited to entertainment, but extends into fostering historical awareness, social empathy, and critical thinking among viewers of all ages. Green Book has also left a mark on popular culture. References to the film have appeared in television programs, podcasts, social media discussions, and other media, demonstrating its resonance beyond the cinema screen. Memes, critical essays, and commentary have explored both its strengths and controversies, ensuring that Green Book remains part of public discourse. Its portrayal of interracial friendship, combined with humor and emotional warmth, has become a cultural touchstone for examining cross-cultural relationships, inspiring conversations about social cohesion, empathy, and moral growth. The imagery of Tony and Shirley traveling together, often used in popular references, symbolizes the possibility of human connection across societal divides, further embedding the film in contemporary cultural consciousness. In the realm of music and artistic influence, Green Book contributed to renewed interest in mid-20th century African American classical musicians and performers. Dr. Don Shirley's performances, highlighted in the film, have inspired discussions about artistic excellence, cultural recognition, and the challenges faced by Black artists navigating predominantly white institutions. The film's emphasis on musical talent and cultural sophistication has encouraged audiences to explore the broader history of African American contributions to classical and jazz music, deepening appreciation for artistry and historical context. From an industry perspective, Green Book's award success has left a lasting impression on considerations of prestige filmmaking. Its Best Picture win at the Academy Awards, along with recognition for acting and screenplay, reinforce the idea that films addressing moral, social, and historical themes can achieve top-tier accolades. The combination of mainstream appeal and critical validation has influenced how studios, producers, and directors approach similar projects, highlighting the potential for films that are both commercially viable and culturally significant. The film has thus contributed to shaping industry standards for narrative engagement, performance, and thematic depth in socially conscious cinema. Merchandising, spin-offs, and derivative works also form part of the film's legacy. While Green Book did not generate a traditional franchise, it inspired discussions, adaptations for educational settings, and theatrical performances exploring the same themes of friendship, empathy, and societal barriers. These derivative engagements illustrate the film's enduring relevance and the versatility of its narrative for multiple media forms. Its impact extends beyond the cinematic experience into cultural literacy, historical exploration, and artistic engagement, demonstrating the broader societal influence of well-crafted storytelling. Green Book elicited a wide spectrum of reactions from audiences, reflecting the film's blend of emotional storytelling, humor, historical context, and moral messaging. Audience reflection and interpretation are shaped by personal experience, cultural perspective, and expectations of cinematic storytelling. The film's reception among viewers reveals how narrative choices, character development, and historical framing can resonate differently depending on generational, social, and cultural background. Analyzing audience responses provides insight into the ways Green Book impacted viewers emotionally, intellectually, and socially, while also illustrating the role of cinema as a medium for dialogue, reflection, and moral consideration. Many viewers found the film profoundly moving due to its depiction of the evolving friendship between Tony Lip and Dr. Don Shirley. The relationship at the center of the story resonated with audiences because it humanized larger social issues, grounding discussions of racism, class, and identity in the experiences of two vividly realized characters. Viewers often reflected on the ways the characters challenged each other's assumptions, offering moments of humor, confrontation, and empathy that mirrored real-life opportunities for personal growth. Audiences frequently expressed admiration for the authenticity of the performances, particularly Mahershala Ali's subtle emotional expressions and Viggo Mortensen's comic timing and emotional honesty. This engagement reinforced the perception that cinema can serve as a bridge between historical realities and contemporary human experience, allowing audiences to witness and internalize lessons about empathy, moral courage, and cross-cultural understanding. For many viewers, the historical context of the film prompted reflection on both the progress and persistence of social inequalities. The depiction of the segregated American South, combined with the moral and emotional challenges faced by the characters, encouraged audiences to consider how systemic racism has shaped individual lives and societal structures. Some viewers related these historical experiences to contemporary issues, interpreting the film as a reminder of the importance of advocacy, allyship, and personal responsibility in confronting prejudice. Discussions about the Green Book travel guide itself generated curiosity about the lived experiences of African Americans during segregation, prompting some audiences to research the history further, share insights socially, or engage in educational activities inspired by the film. Humor played a critical role in audience interpretation, making difficult subjects more accessible while fostering emotional connection. The interplay of comedy and drama allowed viewers to experience the characters' journey with emotional depth without being overwhelmed by the weight of historical injustice. Many audience members noted that humor facilitated reflection by creating space for empathy. Moments of levity between Tony and Shirley enabled viewers to see them as fully human, rather than solely as representatives of racial or social categories. This dynamic reinforced the notion that personal relationships and humor can serve as vehicles for social understanding, allowing audiences to internalize the film's themes in an engaging and relatable manner. Generational perspectives influenced audience reflection significantly. Older viewers who lived through the era depicted in the film often interpreted scenes through the lens of personal memory, recalling the social norms, cultural attitudes, and racial dynamics of the 1960s. These viewers sometimes expressed a combination of nostalgia and critical engagement, appreciating the historical detail while recognizing the enduring challenges of social inequity. Younger audiences, in contrast, frequently approached the film as both an educational experience and a narrative exploration of character and morality, reflecting on the emotional journey of the protagonists and the moral choices depicted. Across generations, viewers often reported feeling inspired by the characters' growth and the power of friendship to bridge cultural and social divides, demonstrating the film's capacity to resonate across temporal and cultural boundaries. Audience reflection also engaged with the ethical and representational aspects of the story. Some viewers questioned the framing of the narrative, noting that Tony Lip's perspective dominates much of the film while Shirley's internal experiences are less directly explored. This led to discussions about narrative authority, historical accuracy, and the ways films portray real-life figures and social issues. Such reflections indicate that audiences are not passive consumers of media but active interpreters who analyze both the narrative choices and the broader implications of storytelling. The debates sparked by Green Book, both in social media forums and in personal conversations, highlight the film's role as a catalyst for critical engagement with history, culture, and ethics in media. Emotional resonance was a consistent theme in audience interpretation. Many viewers reported feeling deeply moved by scenes that depicted vulnerability, moral courage, or moments of connection between Tony and Shirley. Shared meals, long drives, and musical performances were interpreted as symbolic markers of trust, empathy, and human dignity, prompting reflection on personal relationships and social responsibility. Audiences often related these moments to their own experiences of friendship, cultural difference, and moral growth, finding universal lessons embedded in a historically specific narrative. The film's capacity to evoke both laughter and tears strengthened its emotional impact, leaving lasting impressions that extended beyond the viewing experience. Green Book also prompted reflection on cultural exchange and mutual understanding. The interactions between Tony and Shirley demonstrated the possibilities and challenges of bridging social and cultural divides, offering audiences a narrative framework for contemplating their own relationships across difference. Many viewers interpreted the film as a testament to the transformative power of empathy, trust, and shared experiences, reinforcing the idea that meaningful connection can occur even in the presence of entrenched societal barriers. This reflection often extended into broader social and political conversations, as audiences discussed issues of race, privilege, and moral responsibility in contemporary contexts. Green Book is fundamentally a character-driven film, and its narrative strength lies in the evolution of its two central figures, Tony Lip and Dr. Don Shirley. Both characters undergo substantial personal growth throughout the story, their journeys intertwined with the broader social and historical context of the early 1960s. By examining the character development and arcs in detail, it becomes clear how the film constructs a compelling narrative that balances individual transformation with relational dynamics, social commentary, and moral exploration. The film's focus on character growth allows audiences to engage emotionally and intellectually, connecting with the protagonists while reflecting on broader themes of friendship, empathy, and social justice. Tony Lip, whose full name is Tony Vallelonga, begins the story as a working-class Italian-American with a pragmatic, rough-hewn outlook on life. He is introduced as a man grounded in the immediate concerns of family, survival, and economic necessity. His personality is marked by humor, loyalty, and a directness that often borders on crudeness. At the outset, Tony is depicted as somewhat culturally insular, holding assumptions and biases consistent with his environment in the Bronx and the broader social milieu of 1960s America. While he is fundamentally a good person, his initial lack of exposure to different social, racial, and cultural perspectives limits his understanding of the systemic discrimination faced by individuals like Dr. Shirley. This initial characterization sets the stage for Tony's arc, which revolves around expanding empathy, moral awareness, and cultural sensitivity through direct experience and interpersonal connection. Dr. Don Shirley, in contrast, is portrayed as a refined, introspective, and highly disciplined individual. A world-class pianist, Shirley embodies elegance, sophistication, and cultural authority. However, his poise and cultivated demeanor conceal deep personal isolation and a complex internal life. Shirley's identity is defined by excellence and resilience, but also by the social and racial barriers he must navigate as a Black man in a predominantly white, elite environment. His life is marked by discipline, personal sacrifice, and emotional restraint, creating a veneer of composure that masks vulnerability, loneliness, and the longing for authentic human connection. Shirley's arc in the film is subtler than Tony's, focusing on the gradual opening of his emotional world, the development of trust, and the experience of friendship that allows him to engage more fully with others beyond his music. The development of both characters is driven by their interactions and shared experiences on the road trip. The narrative constructs a series of challenges, confrontations, and bonding moments that serve as catalysts for transformation. Tony's initial exposure to overt racism in the South, for example, forces him to confront realities previously peripheral to his life. His responses evolve from shock and discomfort to proactive protection of Shirley, signaling the development of moral courage and social awareness. These moments highlight the intersection of character and context, illustrating how personal growth is often catalyzed by exposure to injustice and the necessity of ethical decision-making. Shirley's development is intertwined with Tony's evolution, as the road trip provides a context in which he can safely reveal vulnerability, engage emotionally, and explore humor and companionship. Initially guarded and emotionally distant, Shirley gradually allows himself to connect with Tony through shared experiences, music, and candid conversations. These moments demonstrate the film's exploration of relational growth as a reciprocal process. Just as Tony develops empathy and moral awareness, Shirley experiences trust, validation, and the affirmation of his humanity beyond his artistic talent. This mutual development emphasizes the central theme that personal transformation is often relational, occurring through meaningful interaction and shared challenge. Turning points in character arcs are carefully structured to reinforce narrative pacing and thematic resonance. For Tony, a pivotal moment occurs when he physically intervenes to protect Shirley from racial aggression in a southern hotel or restaurant. This act represents a moral awakening, the willingness to confront social injustice, and the deepening of his loyalty to Shirley. For Shirley, a significant turning point is his decision to share personal stories, jokes, and moments of humor with Tony, breaking the barrier of emotional isolation and signaling trust and vulnerability. These key moments serve as narrative markers, signaling measurable growth in both characters and reinforcing the film's exploration of friendship, empathy, and social awareness. Secondary character interactions also influence the protagonist's development. Tony's relationship with his family, his wife Dolores and their children, serves as a moral anchor, grounding his growth in familiar values of loyalty, care, and responsibility. These familial interactions highlight the contrast between Tony's private life and the broader societal challenges he faces on the road, reinforcing the multidimensional nature of his character. Shirley's interactions with his musical colleagues, patrons, and occasional detractors provide insight into the pressures and isolation imposed by social expectation and racial prejudice, contextualizing his guarded demeanor and making his eventual emotional openness more meaningful. Humor and cultural contrast play an essential role in character development. Tony's brash humor initially clashes with Shirley's refined sensibilities, creating tension but also opportunities for mutual learning. These moments of comedic friction evolve into playful camaraderie, demonstrating how shared experiences can bridge cultural gaps and facilitate character growth. Humor becomes a vehicle for trust and relational intimacy, illustrating the film's broader message that human connection often emerges from unexpected encounters and shared vulnerabilities. By the film's conclusion, both Tony and Shirley have undergone transformative journeys. Tony has grown into a figure of empathy, courage, and cultural awareness, capable of navigating social complexity and moral responsibility with newfound understanding. Shirley has expanded his emotional range, embracing vulnerability, laughter, and companionship without diminishing his dignity or intellectual authority. The culmination of these arcs is evident in the final scenes, where their relationship reflects equality, mutual respect, and authentic friendship. These arcs are constructed with care, ensuring that growth feels earned, believable, and resonant, rather than abrupt or superficial. Costume and set design play a crucial role in Green Book, serving as visual storytelling devices that reinforce character, social context, historical authenticity, and thematic depth. Through careful attention to clothing, hairstyles, interior design, props, and location selection, the film communicates information about time period, social class, cultural identity, and personality without relying solely on dialogue. The designs not only establish the 1960s setting but also enhance narrative immersion, supporting character development and audience interpretation. Examining the costume and set design in detail reveals how these visual elements work in tandem to create a cohesive, emotionally resonant cinematic experience. Costume design in Green Book is a meticulous reflection of both character and era. Dr. Don Shirley's attire emphasizes sophistication, precision, and cultural refinement. His tailored suits, crisp shirts, polished shoes, and carefully chosen accessories reflect his elite status, intellectual demeanor, and cultivated public image. These clothing choices serve as external markers of his professional and personal identity, reinforcing his role as a world-class pianist navigating predominantly white cultural spaces. Subtle variations in Shirley's wardrobe, such as the addition of gloves, scarves, or formal outerwear, communicate mood, occasion, and character state, while also visually distinguishing him from Tony and other supporting characters. The consistency and attention to detail in Shirley's wardrobe underscore his control over appearance and social presentation, highlighting themes of identity, discipline, and resilience. In contrast, Tony Lip's costume design emphasizes his working-class roots, practicality, and approachability. His clothing is casual, comfortable, and often utilitarian, reflecting his role as a bouncer and his everyday life in the Bronx. Earth tones, textured fabrics, and layered garments visually anchor him in a different social and cultural milieu than Shirley, creating immediate visual contrast between the two protagonists. Tony's wardrobe is also expressive of his personality. Slightly disheveled coats, patterned shirts, and relaxed trousers reflect his humor, charm, and grounded nature. As the film progresses, subtle wardrobe adjustments, such as the incorporation of slightly more formal elements, mirror Tony's growth and adaptation to new environments, subtly signaling character development through costume without overt exposition. The interaction between costume and color palette enhances thematic expression and visual cohesion. Shirley's darker, formal, and richly textured outfits are often juxtaposed against Tony's more muted or practical clothing, emphasizing differences in social status, culture, and worldview. This contrast is particularly evident in shared scenes, such as hotel lobbies, performance venues, and restaurants, where visual differentiation reinforces character dynamics and social tension. Costume color choices also support emotional and narrative cues, with brighter or softer tones signaling warmth, intimacy, or emotional vulnerability, and darker or structured attire underscoring formality, isolation, or tension. The deliberate interplay between wardrobe and setting ensures that costumes function as narrative tools, visually communicating both character and context. Set design in Green Book is equally deliberate, establishing the physical and cultural landscapes of the story. Interiors, such as Shirley's Manhattan apartment, are characterized by refined elegance, symmetry, and a sense of cultivated space. Rich wood tones, polished furniture, tasteful artwork, and well-chosen lighting reflect his cultural sophistication, attention to detail, and personal discipline. These design elements create a visual representation of Shirley's internal world, conveying both refinement and isolation. In contrast, Tony's environments, including his Bronx apartment and neighborhood settings, feature lived-in textures, casual furnishings, and a sense of warmth and community. This distinction reinforces the social and cultural differences between the protagonists while providing a grounded, historically accurate depiction of urban life in the 1960s. Locations outside of the characters' homes are also carefully curated to support narrative and thematic goals. Hotels, restaurants, and performance venues are designed with attention to period accuracy, including signage, architecture, and interior layout. Segregated facilities, for example, are portrayed with visual clarity, highlighting the social barriers that Shirley encounters and emphasizing the tension and danger inherent in his journey. Roadway scenes, gas stations, and rural towns are selected and dressed to evoke the historical American landscape, reinforcing both the physical journey and the symbolic passage through social and emotional terrain. Props, furniture, and signage are used with precision to support realism while simultaneously reinforcing narrative stakes and character experiences. The interplay between costume and set design contributes to visual storytelling by highlighting relational dynamics. In shared spaces, such as the car, restaurants, or hotels, the contrast between Shirley's refined attire and the environments he navigates visually amplifies the tension, cultural dissonance, and social challenges he faces. Tony's more adaptable wardrobe visually bridges these spaces, emphasizing his role as both guide and mediator. Similarly, the way characters interact with their surroundings, leaning on furniture, adjusting clothing, or engaging with props, reinforces character traits and relational dynamics, illustrating how design elements operate in concert with performance to deepen audience understanding. Attention to historical accuracy is a consistent feature of both costume and set design. Vehicles, street signage, lighting fixtures, and interior decorations are carefully chosen to reflect the period and location, providing audiences with a believable and immersive depiction of 1960s America. Wardrobe choices, hairstyles, and makeup align with contemporary styles, enhancing authenticity and supporting narrative immersion. These design decisions reinforce the educational and cultural value of the film, allowing viewers to engage with the historical context while experiencing a compelling narrative. Symbolism is embedded in both costume and set design. Shirley's immaculate appearance and structured environment symbolize control, discipline, and societal expectations, while Tony's more casual attire and informal settings symbolize approachability, adaptability, and emotional openness. As the narrative progresses, subtle visual cues in wardrobe and settings such as shared meals, adjustments in clothing, or the comfort of communal spaces underscore relational growth, trust, and the gradual bridging of social and cultural divides. These design choices reinforce the film's central themes of friendship, empathy, and personal transformation. The dialogue and scriptwriting of Green Book are central to the film's narrative success, providing both the structural foundation of the story and the means through which characters express personality, conflict, humor, and emotional depth. The screenplay, crafted by Nick Vallelonga, Brian Curry, and Peter Farrelly, balances character-driven storytelling with broader thematic exploration, blending comedy, drama, and social commentary into a cohesive and engaging narrative. The quality of dialogue, pacing, and narrative construction contributes significantly to the audience's understanding of character relationships, emotional arcs, and historical context, making scriptwriting one of the most vital elements of the film's impact. The film's dialogue reflects the contrasting personalities and cultural backgrounds of the protagonists. Tony Lip's speech is informal, colloquial, and grounded in the idioms of his working-class Italian-American community in the Bronx. His use of humor, sarcasm, and directness provides levity while establishing his character as relatable, pragmatic, and earthy. In contrast, Dr. Don Shirley's dialogue is precise, eloquent, and measured, reflecting his refined education, professional discipline, and cultural sophistication. This deliberate contrast in speech patterns immediately conveys differences in social status, worldview, and upbringing, allowing audiences to understand character distinctions without relying on exposition. The interplay between Tony's casual, expressive style and Shirley's formal, nuanced delivery is a recurring narrative device that drives both tension and humor, creating opportunities for mutual understanding and eventual camaraderie. Humor in the dialogue serves multiple functions, operating as a tool for character development, relational dynamics, and audience engagement. Witty exchanges, cultural misunderstandings, and situational comedy highlight the protagonists' differences while simultaneously providing insight into their personalities and values. For example, Tony's blunt observations about Southern customs, juxtaposed with Shirley's refined perspective, generate laughter while also emphasizing social and cultural contrasts. Humor is consistently employed to lighten tension in moments of historical or emotional gravity, making difficult subjects such as racial segregation and social prejudice accessible to a wide audience. This careful integration of comedy into the script ensures that the film maintains emotional resonance without trivializing the serious issues it addresses. The script's use of conflict and tension is particularly effective in advancing character arcs and narrative momentum. Disagreements between Tony and Shirley, whether about manners, travel plans, or responses to racial prejudice, are written with authenticity, capturing the nuances of interpersonal dynamics and the friction that arises from cultural differences. These verbal confrontations are pivotal to character growth, prompting reflection, compromise, and eventual understanding. The dialogue in such scenes is often layered, simultaneously conveying surface-level disagreement and deeper emotional or moral stakes, demonstrating the scriptwriter's skill in embedding subtext within seemingly ordinary conversations. Another notable aspect of the screenplay is its integration of historical and social context. The dialogue includes references to racial dynamics, social customs, and cultural norms of the 1960s, allowing audiences to understand the broader societal landscape without resorting to heavy-handed exposition. This approach enables the film to remain character-focused while situating the narrative firmly within its historical setting. Subtle lines or exchanges about segregated facilities, social hierarchies, and public perception inform the audience about the challenges faced by Shirley while preserving the immediacy of the character's personal experiences. By weaving historical context into dialogue organically, the script maintains narrative fluidity and emotional engagement while educating viewers about the era. Pacing in the script is carefully calibrated to balance episodic road trip sequences with moments of introspection and character development. Scenes are constructed to alternate between action-driven encounters, quiet reflections, and humorous interludes, creating a rhythm that sustains audience interest and emphasizes narrative stakes. Dialogue is employed strategically to maintain pacing, with conversational beats and timing enhancing comedic effect, emotional impact, or tension. The screenplay demonstrates an awareness of rhythm in verbal exchanges, ensuring that conversations feel natural while serving the narrative's thematic and structural goals. Memorable lines and exchanges contribute significantly to the film's lasting appeal. Certain phrases, jokes, or moments of insight have become emblematic of the character's relationship and the film's broader message. For example, the dialogue during shared meals, music performances, or confrontational scenes often encapsulates the moral and emotional journey of the characters, offering audiences moments of reflection, amusement, or inspiration. These memorable lines function not only as entertainment, but also as narrative anchors, reinforcing key themes such as empathy, friendship, moral growth, and social awareness. The script also employs subtext effectively, allowing dialogue to operate on multiple levels. Casual remarks, playful banter, or polite formalities often carry underlying emotional weight, cultural meaning, or moral significance. Audiences are encouraged to interpret the layers of meaning in exchanges between Tony and Shirley, fostering engagement and critical reflection. The subtlety of the writing ensures that the story does not rely on explicit explanation, instead trusting viewers to perceive character motivation, ethical dilemmas, and relational development through speech and action. Exposition is handled with skill and restraint. Historical context, character backstory, and social dynamics are conveyed through dialogue integrated seamlessly into interactions, rather than through clumsy narrative devices. This method preserves narrative flow and allows the audience to absorb information naturally, supporting immersion and emotional connection. For instance, discussions about Shirley's career, the Green Book travel guide, or societal expectations emerge organically through interactions with Tony or other secondary characters, enhancing both character understanding and historical realism. Marketing and promotion played a critical role in the success of Green Book, ensuring that the film reached a wide audience while emphasizing its unique blend of humor, drama, historical context, and emotional resonance. The strategies employed encompass traditional and digital media, promotional partnerships, and carefully curated messaging that highlighted the film's themes of friendship, personal growth, and social awareness. The marketing campaign was designed not only to attract viewers, but also to position the film as both an entertaining cinematic experience and a culturally significant story, ultimately contributing to its commercial success and awards recognition. Examining the various facets of the marketing and promotion strategy reveals how targeted campaigns, strategic branding, and public engagement enhanced the film's visibility and impact. Trailers served as a central component of the marketing campaign, offering a concise introduction to the film's narrative, characters, and tone. The official trailers highlighted the dynamic chemistry between Tony Lip and Dr. Don Shirley, emphasizing humor, emotional warmth, and the challenges posed by the segregated South. Scenes of musical performance, road trip encounters, and moments of conflict were interwoven to provide a sense of the film's narrative arc, while voiceovers and dialogue snippets conveyed character personalities and relational dynamics. The trailer struck a balance between entertainment and thematic depth, appealing to audiences seeking both emotional storytelling and historical context. Additionally, teaser trailers and online clips were strategically released ahead of the film's premiere to generate curiosity and buzz among diverse audience segments. Posters and visual branding reinforced the central themes and characters of the film. Key promotional images frequently featured the contrasting figures of Tony and Shirley, often emphasizing visual and social differences through costume, posture, and setting. These images communicated the film's core premise of cross-cultural friendship and journey, while providing a visually striking representation of character dynamics. Typography, color schemes, and design choices were carefully selected to reflect the period setting, tone, and emotional warmth of the film, ensuring that marketing materials were cohesive, historically resonant, and visually appealing. Iconic poster images became widely recognizable, contributing to public awareness and audience anticipation. Social media marketing played a significant role in audience engagement and awareness. Platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube were used to share trailers, behind-the-scenes content, interviews with cast and crew, and promotional graphics. Interactive posts, hashtags, and video content encouraged user engagement and discussion, allowing fans and potential viewers to connect with the film prior to its release. Social media campaigns also leveraged the popularity and reach of the lead actors, particularly Mahershala Ali and Viggo Mortensen, whose interviews, appearances, and personal insights helped humanize the film and reinforce its themes. The strategic use of social media expanded the film's reach beyond traditional marketing channels, targeting younger, digitally connected audiences while fostering a sense of community and shared excitement around the film. Publicity events and appearances were integral to the promotional strategy. Cast and crew participated in interviews, press tours, talk shows, and red carpet events, generating media coverage and public visibility. Film festivals provided early opportunities to showcase the movie, with screenings and Q&A sessions emphasizing the film's critical and emotional appeal. These appearances were designed to highlight the human and historical aspects of the story, focusing on the relationship between Tony and Shirley, the moral and social themes, and the historical significance of the Green Book travel guide. The personal engagement of cast and crew in these events helped establish authenticity, build credibility, and reinforce the emotional and cultural resonance of the film. Merchandising and tie-in materials further supported the marketing effort. While Green Book did not generate a traditional line of consumer products, certain educational and commemorative materials, such as books about the Green Book travel guide, music recordings inspired by Dr. Shirley, and themed promotional items, extended the reach of the film's cultural and historical messaging. These materials reinforced the film's educational potential, encouraged exploration of African American history, and provided additional avenues for audience engagement. The integration of merchandising with broader marketing efforts helped the film reach diverse audiences, from casual moviegoers to educational institutions and history enthusiasts. Strategic timing and awards-focused promotion were key elements of Green Book's marketing campaign. The film's release schedule was designed to maximize visibility during awards season, with limited early screenings at festivals and select theaters generating critical buzz and word-of-mouth prior to a wider release. Campaigns emphasized the film's strong performances, particularly Mahershala Ali's award-winning role, and the story's emotional and social resonance, positioning Green Book as both an audience favorite and a serious contender for industry accolades. Publicity around awards nominations and wins was leveraged to maintain momentum, drawing attention to critical acclaim and enhancing commercial appeal. Targeted outreach to diverse audiences was another hallmark of the marketing strategy. Promotional materials highlighted themes of friendship, resilience, and social justice to appeal to viewers interested in both historical narratives and emotionally engaging stories. Marketing campaigns emphasized accessibility, blending humor, drama, and music to attract a wide demographic spectrum. By showcasing the relatability of Tony and Shirley's journey, as well as the universal themes of personal growth and empathy, the film was positioned to resonate with viewers across age, cultural, and geographic boundaries. The marketing campaign also utilized content that highlighted the historical and educational significance of the story. Interviews, articles, and social media content explored the historical realities of the 1960s, the role of the Green Book travel guide, and the experiences of African American performers navigating segregation. This approach reinforced the cultural and educational value of the film while enhancing audience understanding of the context in which the story unfolds. By combining entertainment and historical engagement, the campaign appealed to audiences seeking both cinematic enjoyment and cultural insight. When Green Book was released in 2018, critics and audiences immediately began comparing it to other films with similar themes, genres, and narrative styles. As both a road trip buddy film and a socially conscious drama, it sits at the crossroads of multiple traditions in cinema, from classic mismatched partner stories to more modern explorations of race relations in America. By examining Green Book alongside films with shared subject matter, similar narrative arcs, or comparable directorial approaches, we gain a richer understanding of its strengths, limitations, and place in the broader cinematic landscape. One of the most obvious comparisons is to Driving Miss Daisy, the 1989 Academy Award-winning film that also explored themes of race, class, and friendship in the American South. Both films tell the story of unlikely companions from different social and racial backgrounds who form a meaningful bond while navigating a society structured by prejudice and inequality. In Driving Miss Daisy, the friendship forms between an elderly Jewish woman and her African-American chauffeur, while in Green Book it is between a working-class Italian-American driver and an African-American classical pianist. The comparisons are natural given the structural similarities, and in fact, some critics labeled Green Book as a modern reinterpretation of Driving Miss Daisy. The difference lies in perspective. Green Book is largely told through Tony Lip's point of view, emphasizing his growth and shifting worldview, whereas Driving Miss Daisy is more balanced between the perspectives of its two leads. While Driving Miss Daisy tended toward subtle, genteel storytelling, Green Book injects humor, cultural clash, and livelier pacing, making it more accessible to contemporary audiences. Another comparison often made is with more recent films that grapple with race in a direct and sometimes confrontational way, such as Spike Lee's Black Klansman, 2018, or Ava DuVernay's Selma, 2014. Unlike these films, Green Book adopts a lighter, more comedic approach to its exploration of race relations, favoring personal connection and individual growth over systemic critique. Where Black Klansman satirizes and critiques institutional racism with biting commentary, Green Book softens its approach through humor and interpersonal dynamics, making its themes digestible to mainstream audiences. This stylistic difference has led to divided opinions. Some praise Green Book for being accessible and uplifting, while others criticize it for sidestepping deeper systemic issues. When compared to these more socially urgent films, Green Book occupies a middle ground. It raises awareness of prejudice and segregation but couches it within a palatable, crowd-pleasing structure. It can also be compared to other road trip or buddy films that use travel as a metaphor for personal growth and discovery. Classics like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles or Midnight Run feature mismatched pairs forced into close quarters, leading to comedic conflict and eventual respect. Green Book borrows heavily from this tradition, using the physical journey through the South as a metaphor for the emotional and moral journeys of both Tony and Shirley. Like those earlier films, it relies on banter, cultural misunderstandings, and shifting dynamics to create both humor and heart. However, Green Book differentiates itself by situating the road trip within the historical framework of the civil rights era, raising the stakes beyond mere personality clashes. The backdrop of racial segregation adds tension and moral weight, making it more than a conventional buddy comedy. The film also invites comparison to other works by director Peter Farrelly. Before Green Book, Farrelly was best known for directing broad comedies such as Dumb and Dumber, There's Something About Mary, and Shallow Hal. Those films relied heavily on outrageous humor, slapstick, and shock value. Green Book marked a dramatic departure from his earlier style, blending comedy with a mature dramatic sensibility. In doing so, Farrelly demonstrated a versatility that surprised critics and audiences alike. When compared to his earlier work, Green Book retains some of the lighthearted humor and character-driven banter that defined his comedies, but it channels those elements into a narrative with emotional depth and cultural significance. This evolution in style suggests that Farrelly was interested in expanding his range as a filmmaker, and Green Book serves as a bridge between comedic storytelling and socially relevant drama. Thematically, Green Book also shares similarities with films that explore music as a transformative force. Movies such as Amadeus, Ray, or Whiplash portray music not just as entertainment, but as a window into character, culture, and identity. In Green Book, Dr. Shirley's music functions as both a symbol of his artistry and a means of bridging cultural divides. Like Ray or Amadeus, the film emphasizes the challenges faced by great musicians in societies that fail to fully embrace them, but it presents this struggle in a more understated and personal way. Rather than focusing exclusively on Shirley's professional journey, Green Book uses his music as a backdrop to his friendship with Tony, suggesting that art can connect people across profound cultural divides. Another useful comparison is with films that dramatize historical friendships between people of different races or social backgrounds. For instance, films like The Help or Hidden Figures focus on African American experiences within segregated or discriminatory systems while centering relationships with white allies. Green Book similarly depicts the value of cross-cultural bonds, though its narrative has drawn criticism for framing the story largely through the perspective of Tony rather than Shirley. In contrast, Hidden Figures foreground the experiences of African American women while still portraying their connections with white colleagues. This difference in narrative emphasis highlights one of Green Book's most contested aspects, its prioritization of Tony's arc, which some argue diminishes Shirley's perspective.